deep and accurate understanding of Judaism and Zionism with Israel SHAHAK, Jewish history, Jewish religion, the weight of 3,000 years, Israeli expansionism. The main danger which Israel as a Jewish state poses to its own people, to other Jews and to its neighbors, is its ideologically motivated pursuit of territorial expansion and the inevitable series of wars resulting from this aim. The more Israel becomes Jewish, or, as one says in Hebrew, the more it returns to Judaism, a process which has been underway in Israel at least since 1967, the more its actual politics are guided by Jewish ideological considerations and less by rational ones. My use of the term rational does not refer here to a moral evaluation of Israeli policies or to the supposed defense or security needs of Israel, even less so to the supposed needs of Israeli survival. I am referring here to Israeli imperial policies based on its presumed interests. However morally bad or politically crass such policies are, I regard the adoption of policies based on Jewish ideology in all its different versions as being even worse. The ideological defenses of Israeli policies are usually based on Jewish religious beliefs or, in the case of secular Jews, on the historical rights of the Jews, which derive from those beliefs and retain the dogmatic character of religious faith. My own early political conversion from admirer of Ben-Gurion to his dedicated opponent began exactly with such an issue. In 1956, I eagerly swallowed all of Ben-Gurion's political and military reasons for Israel initiating the Suez War, until he, in spite of being an atheist, proud of his disregard of the commandments of the Jewish religion, pronounced in the Knesset on the third day of that war that the real reason for it is the restoration of the kingdom of David and Solomon to its biblical borders. At this point, in his speech, almost every Knesset member spontaneously rose and sang the Israeli national anthem. To my knowledge, no Zionist politician has ever repudiated Ben-Gurion's idea that Israeli policies must be based within the limits of pragmatic considerations on the restoration of the biblical borders as the borders of the Jewish state. Indeed, close analysis of Israeli grand strategies and actual principles of foreign policy, as they are expressed in Hebrew, makes it clear that it is Jewish ideology, more than any other factor, which determines actual Israeli policies. The disregard of Judaism as it really is and of Jewish ideology makes those policies incomprehensible to foreign observers who usually know nothing about Judaism except crude apologetics. Let me give a more recent illustration of the essential difference which exists between Israeli imperial planning of the most inflated but secular type and the principles of Jewish ideology. The latter enjoins that land which was either ruled by any Jewish ruler in ancient times or was promised by God to the Jews, either in the Bible or, what is actually more important politically, according to a rabbinic interpretation of the Bible and the Talmud, should belong to Israel since it is a Jewish state. No doubt, many Jewish doves are of the opinion that such conquest should be deferred to a time when Israel will be stronger than it is now, or that there would be hopefully a peaceful conquest, that is, that the Arab rulers or peoples would be persuaded to cede the land in question in return for benefits which the Jewish state would then confer on them. A number of discrepant versions of biblical borders of the land of Israel, which rabbinical authorities interpret as ideally belonging to the Jewish state, are in circulation. The most far-reaching among them include the following areas within these borders: in the south, all of Sinai and a part of northern Egypt up to the environs of Cairo. In the east, all of Jordan and a large chunk of Saudi Arabia, all of Kuwait and a part of Iraq south of the Euphrates. In the north, all of Lebanon and all of Syria, together with a huge part of Turkey up to Lake Van. And in the west, Cyprus. An enormous body of research and learned discussion based on these borders, embodied in atlases, books, articles, and more popular forms of propaganda, is being published in Israel, often with state subsidies or other forms of support. Certainly, the late Kahan and his followers, as well as influential bodies such as Gush Emunim, not only desire the conquest of those territories by Israel, but regard it as a divinely commanded act, sure to be successful since it will be aided by God. In fact, important Jewish religious figures regard the Israeli refusal to undertake such a holy war, or even worse, the return of Sinai to Egypt, as a national sin, which was justly punished by God. One of the more influential Gush Emunim rabbis, Dov Lior, the rabbi of Jewish settlements of Kiryat Arba and of Hebron, stated repeatedly that the Israeli failure to conquer Lebanon in 1982-85 was a well-merited divine punishment for its sin of giving a part of land of Israel, namely Sinai, to Egypt.